All right. We are live. Excuse me. How's it going, everybody? Doing more reference today. Welcome, Twilight Wolf. Sorry we missed you yesterday. Glad you're here today, though. Let's jump in and get started. As per usual, we're going to go ahead and start with our warm-up. 5-minute warm-up, and then we will jump into a reference. I'm going to be doing some lions today. Not sure which one. They're both really great poses. But one of these two, I think, is the one I'm going to... Well, I know I'm going to do one of them. I'm just not sure which one yet. They both are pretty good, though. So, all right. Set a 5-minute timer. Good morning, Sophia. 5 minutes. Let's go. Let's do this. Make sure I got my sketching brush.
Twilight Wolf is saying that they like the first one, just so you know.
Oh, the first reference photo?
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one is the first one from your perspective. The one on the higher layer, this one?
Yes. The first one.
Might do both if we have time. I always say that, but we never have time. But maybe, who knows? We're getting pretty fast.
The other day, Austin, you were mentioning to me how cool it is to see so much improvement in your sketches in so little time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really cool to see, just with a week or two of sketching every day, how even though you're already a great artist, you became better in just a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of like I was at a... Like, I feel like I had lost some skill for not drawing, like actively practicing drawing for a long time. And then that it came back after like a couple weeks, and then now I'm starting to feel like I'm actually improving from the point I was at before, which is really cool.
Sophia says, I got a head start today. I'm working on a self-portrait from photo with the Procreate technical pencil, and maybe we'll do a second study with charcoal.
Nice. Charcoal is fun, but very messy. Well, if you're me, it's very messy.
Oh, Sophia means the charcoal Procreate tool.
Oh, cool. Not messy at all then. This is how I wish frogs walked, because it would be hilarious. All right. We hear you. Oh my gosh. All right, time's up. Enough doodling, even though I want to keep drawing this guy. It's kind of fun. Okay, goodbye, crocodile frog. Have a good day. All right. Oh my gosh, my freaking back. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Which one to do? I think this one would be a lot faster, and then I could maybe do the second one, but what the heck's going on? Clear. Let's see. I'm gonna crop this a little bit. Okay, so we got that one. And this one. Ooh, spooky. I'm actually going to do this one first. I think we can maybe do two. If not, I might do the other one another day just because they both look so fun. All right.
Oh, that one is cool.
Yeah, it's a good angle. It'll be. It's good to draw your studies from a lot of different angles. One, it gives you a way better understanding of the actual structure because you can see like, oh, I see what's going on here. I can see what these forms are, but it builds up your mental library a lot more fully and complete so that you can think about it from different angles a lot easier and draw it in different ways instead of just the way you originally drew it. All right, we got any questions today?
Here's a comment. Ronia Baker is saying, I plan on buying your character design course today. I'm very excited to get started.
Oh, awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy it. More than that, I hope you learned something from it.
What are some of the things that you go over in your character design course?
Or like drawing orthographic views so that you can draw your characters you design from any angle. Going over expression sheets and getting like personality, different styles, like capturing the likeness or emotion of a character, gesture. A bunch of stuff. at the very end, the last whole section of the course is um, you can pick whatever story you want, but we go with Little Mermaid in the course, and your job is to redesign 5 of the main characters of Little Mermaid in your take in a different style on them. And I do kind of like a sort of like a little bit darker, grittier take. Ursula is based off of a coconut crab, which are like these massive crabs that come on shore and climb coconut trees, and they're like blue and purple. They look really cool. So instead of having an octopus body, she has like a crab body, a little bit creepier. King Trident is based on a lionfish. Ursula, or not Ursula, Ariel's based on a um, angelfish. Flounder is like a anglerfish, like the guys with the little lures on their face and the big teeth. And Prince Eric is like a sort of like a gritty sort of fisherman guy with like a big beard and big old hairy forearms and like a net and stuff. And it's all in sort of like a cartoon-esque style sort of thing.
So we got a question from Sophia. They're asking, what kind of resources did you use to hone your skills after leaving school? Drawing, painting.
I mean, it's the same resources I used to hone my skills while I was in school, because really the assignments I was being given did virtually nothing to improve what I do now, honestly. Actually, the one course that, well, I mean, yeah, even that, I went to I took a course on animal anatomy, but it wasn't for artists, it was for like vets, like large animal vets, like horses and cows, like if you're gonna work on like a farm, like take care of animals on a farm. Um, I took an animal anatomy class, and probably only about 10% of that had to do with structural anatomy, like bones and muscles, and the rest of it was like not that. Like more like intestines and blood and all, like just stuff like that. And even in that class, though, I would usually go above and beyond on the assignments for my own sake. Like if we had to label a skeleton and all the bone structures, I would draw my own skeleton from a reference photo and try and get it as accurate as possible, and then label that. I don't know, sort of like things like that. So the best resources is, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different things that I drew from that. It's not like this was it. This was the thing. Tons of different YouTube videos, tons of courses from tons of different sources: SVS Learn, Aaron Blaze, Schoolism, Gnomon Workshop. I've taken courses from all of those places. Paintable. Honestly, pretty much every online painting school I could find, I enrolled in at some point or another, and tried to learn something from. Just tons of free YouTube videos, books from the library. So I mean, it's not really. I don't think I could narrow it down to like what's the resource. It's innumerable. There's a ton of stuff.
So, can you repeat some of those places on YouTube or online that you used? I heard Aaron Blaze, Paintable, and Schoolism.
Yep.
Are there any others that you would add?
SVS Learn.
SCS?
SVS.
SVS. Okay. SVS Learn.
Gnomon Workshop.
And how's that spelled?
GNOMON.
GNOMON.
Yeah.
Workshop. Okay.
Workshop. Yeah.
Samantha Pixley is asking, did you go to college for art?
Yep, for one semester, and then I was like, screw this. it was just I realized very quickly that it was a big waste of time. It was just big expensive. I don't know what you'd call it. I don't know. It was a waste of time for me. Um, I was finding way better instruction and information online because the thing is, when you go to college, you're not always, but most of the time, you're learning from people who do not work in the industry anymore or never have. So they're oftentimes a little out of touch with what is going on and what skills you need to develop. And and it's really expensive, and they don't cater anything to your specific needs or what it is you're trying to accomplish. They're just like, here, this is what we decided is important for you to know. Um, and then you also have to spend probably like 50% of your time, maybe even more when you start out, on doing general stuff. They're just trying to get more money out of you. Um, taking you have to take stupid elective like things like I don't know, like music history, like crap like that for generals, where it's like they're just full of bullshit trying to just get extra buck by being like, you need to be well rounded. Um, no, you don't. If you need something in life, there's no reason why you can't learn it at the time you need it. Um, it's learning to the task, not the test. So, um, yeah, it was a big waste of time. And the benefit about learning online is, one, you can learn at your own schedule, you can cater it to however you want. It's way cheaper, if not free. And if you want like even better stuff, you can pay the money. And instead of learning from your college professor, you can learn from the best people in the entire world at that thing that they're doing. Like, you can take online courses from people who work at Pixar and Disney and stuff like that. Um, People who are extremely good and extremely successful at what they do, you can learn directly from them, and it's way cheaper. Um, some people make the argument like, well, what, you network, blah blah, like, eh, I, not really. Yeah, maybe in some instances, but once again, um, you can get networks without college. Like, it's not like, yeah, but college, how are you going to get a network without it? Like, there's tons of ways to get a network without college. Like, go immerse yourself in artist circles and start to get to know people. But yeah, it's a big. I think it's a big, especially. If you got to go to school to be a lawyer or a doctor, like, you got to do what you got to do. But things like art, where it's like, um, there's no reason. They're just trying to kind of, I guess, scare you into thinking like no one will think you're valuable as an artist unless you have a degree. No one cares. Same thing with like when you're in elementary school or public schools like high school and stuff. And they're like, if you don't get good grades, no one's going to want to hire you. Nobody cares about your high school grades. And if they do, they're probably not a place you want to work, because most of the places that care about that stuff are places like McDonald's and stuff. So what they care about is if you can get the job done or not. But I never want to tell anyone what to do. If you have weighed the options and you think that college is your best option, then do what you got to do. Just make sure you don't feel like that's the only option. That if you don't do that, you're just going to fail, because it's not true.
I think a good point also for everyone to recognize is that Austin is telling you guys this stuff, um, and it's definitely credible because he's living it right now. Like, some people will tell you how to be successful, but if they're not doing it themselves, then you wonder if you really should trust what they're saying. So I think it's cool, that you can say, you know, you can learn a ton online. You can learn to the task instead of to the test, and things like that. And we can definitely believe you because you're living it right now. So
You guys all need a wingman like Caleb. Yeah, I'm having a hard I mean, not a terribly difficult time, but I'm having somewhat of a difficult time getting the perspective on this right because my brain wants to draw it more facing towards me. Like, it's like, no, I know there's more of a line face. And so it's trying to kind of counteract the foreshortening I'm trying to accomplish. And I got to make sure that I don't do that. Also, before I forget, I'll remind again tomorrow, but I'm on Saturday I will be live streaming later in the day, not at 10. I'm not 100% sure what time yet, but Friday I'm still live streaming Friday morning like normal, but then that day I'm going on a short trip with my wife for our anniversary. Um and so I won't be streaming that next morning, but I will later in the day when we get back. So I'm not missing a day. I'm gonna still do it, but it'll just be later. And I don't know exactly what time we're gonna get back, so I can't tell you exactly when, but I'll post a notice in the Facebook group and hopefully you can join us, but just so you know.
Awesome. Comical Foods is asking any tips on how to reach out to other artists and collaborate on projects?
Um, I don't know. It's like most artists don't really want to collaborate. If it's for, I mean, it kind of depends. Like, for example, like with YouTube, when I reach out to other YouTubers, like I've been doing, I'm not really looking out to collaborate on art projects. It's more being framed as collaborating on YouTube videos that kind of revolve around art. I mean, it just, as far as collaborations go, it's kind of like, I don't know. I just don't know what the value maybe would be in that. For another artist to collab, like what's the goal, you know? I don't know. If you're looking out to reach out and just kind of like kind of network or like build connections, um, a great way would be to one start commenting on their stuff. If they do live streams, go to their live streams. Um, and you don't want a fanboy. That it makes it hard for people to like really relate or build a relationship with someone who's like fanboying over them. You know, like, "Oh my gosh, I love your stuff so much. It's so amazing. I've been following you since I was like 12 years old, and like it's such an honor to meet you." It's like they'll feel flattered, but they won't really feel like this person is like an equal in the sense of like professionally, you know, like they're not like a colleague, they're like a fan, you know. So don't like fanboy. I actually should I tell it? It's so embarrassing. Yeah, I'll tell it. It's such an embarrassing story. It's so funny. Um, so one of my big idols is Bobby Chiu, and the first time I went to CTN, I made a whole bunch of prints of some of my art, like little small 6 by 6 inch square prints. I made a bunch of them with the intention of taking them around to the artists that I met or different people I met that I want to kind of have them remember me and just write like a note on the back one of the days and just be like, hey, it was really cool to meet you, you know, really enjoyed your stuff. I'd love to keep in contact, whatever. And I gave them a piece of my art so that they could kind of help remember, like, oh yeah, I remember this guy, you know. Um, and oh gosh, it was I totally fanboyed Bobby Chiu. I don't know how it didn't happen with anyone else. There's a lot of other big name artists I talked to that I was just like, hey, like how's it going? Yeah, like yeah, you got some great stuff, and it was totally normal. But when I went and tried to talk to Bobby, he was like, well, one, he was kind of in like a rush, it seemed like. And later I found out on his Instagram that there was a lot of stuff going on with like the people running CTN and he was kind of in a pretty bad mood because of how they treated him and what happened, and just really disrespectful running things, and it was just I could totally understand why he would be like a little frazzled and like not all there um, when I tried to talk to him. But I went up to him and I was like, hey, and then everything just left my mouth, and I started saying like, I just gotta say like, man, like you're such an inspiration to me. It's just like so cool to meet you, because like, and then it just gets so much worse. Ever since I was like a kid, I don't know if you remember, but I wrote you an email when I was like in junior high, and you sent me back, and like that like was so impactful for me. I'm just like, you just like had such a good influence, and I was just like, oh my god! And like as I was saying, I was like, what are you doing? Like, shut up! Stop talking! You sound so dumb. And he was kind of just like, I could tell he was like trying to be there, but he was like really focused on something else at the time, and so he's kind of like, yeah, yeah. And then as I was getting ready to like give him the print, he's like, well, thanks. I gotta run, but if you wanted to buy any books or anything, you can talk to my assistant or whatever. And then he just walked away while I was basically just like blah blah word salading right in his face. And he's just kind of like, all right, well, I gotta get out of here. This guy's gonna like do this forever. And my brother was there. Jason, he teaches other courses and like drawing courses, and he just was laughing at me so hard because it was so bad. It was so awkward, and like it felt so dumb. Luckily, it was really brief, and he was in a big hurry, and I'm about 99% sure he's not going to remember that next time I meet him or see him. So yeah. That was a couple years ago, but man, it was pretty bad. Don't do that. It's not like oh my gosh, you're so annoying if you do that. But if you're looking to build like a connection or like any sort of like a relationship, that'll make it hard for whatever artist you're trying to gain contact with to see you as like a colleague or an equal or any sort. Because you're basically posturing yourself in a position lower than them. It's okay to acknowledge someone's better than you. You don't need to pretend like, hey, we're equals, when they might be a lot more successful than you are, huge pro in the industry. But when you don't like worship them, basically, it's a lot easier for people to be like, yeah, like you're pretty cool. Let's go grab something to eat and chat or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, just start commenting on stuff. Go to events like that. Talk to people. People don't really like when you build a relationship based off of wanting something from them. At least not wanting something from them without like providing anything in return. Like you're not really considering like why it might be valuable for them to care about what you want. Just be like considerate and realize just because they're successful doesn't mean they're not a person. So, anyways, that's my story about how I fanboyed over Bobby Chiu.
So the Shizne is asking, I notice you don't do a lot of construction lines when doing your drawings, but rather dive right into the exact line work. May I ask why?
Really? I feel like I do a lot of construction lines. I mean, unless you're meaning like by construction lines, do you mean like 3D form stuff like this? Is that what you're talking about? If that's what I mean, well, let's see. We can see. Let's go back and there we go. So let's go to where I started drawing. Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of. In my head, well, this is the thing, like in my head, I'm thinking about it in 3D forms. I don't know. I can see how it seems like I'm not using instruction lines, but in my head, I'm thinking about, even though I'm not drawing the wireframe, I'm thinking about the nose and the mouth and like, how is this box shape like attached to this sphere shape or whatever for the head? But I mean, like that, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I kind of see what you're saying. Typically, if I'll be a lot more thorough with my like framework type stuff when I'm drawing out of my head. because the forms aren't right in front of me. For like, I don't have to visualize the form of this line. I can just look at it and be like, oh, there's the forms. You know what I mean? And I can think about it in 3D in my head, even though the picture's 2D. But when I'm just drawing straight out of my head without reference, you have to think about it a lot more. And that's typically when I'll use the forms a lot more in my head. But and I'll draw them out a little more clearly. Um, I don't know. If I can see it really clearly in my head, I don't do it as much. If not, I'll draw them out a little bit more detailed just to make sure I'm getting things right and I understand what's going on a little bit more clearly. Um, but I mean, um, I just didn't really feel the need to on this one. I felt like I could visualize it pretty clearly, I guess. I don't know. Is it raining outside? Yep.
Yeah, it is raining.
Ooh, love the sound of rain.
But do you like the smell of rain?
I do like the smell of rain. I grew up in Arizona and didn't rain very often, but when it did, like during the monsoon season, it would rain like crazy hard. And um, a lot of times, this sounds like kind of counterintuitive, but a lot of times the ground was so dry and so hard it couldn't soak up very much water because it was just so tight and condensed and compacted and stuff. And so the water would just kind of like flow in the streets and flood areas. And just the rain mixing with the dry ground stuff had a very distinct rain smell. And there's also these trees in Arizona where I lived called Palo Verde trees that on their own smell a lot like rain, but when they get wet, they like kind of amplify that smell, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I love that smell. I don't know. It's like a nostalgic sort of thing for me. He looks creepy without pupils. All right, any other questions?
Comical Foods is asking, when trying to add extra limbs to alien creatures, how do you make the anatomy look believable?
Good question. Um, well, just kind of like trying to think how to explain this without. The short answer is take my course on creature design. The long answer is it's going to depend drastically on what the basis of your alien is, because there's a really large spectrum of ways you can approach designing an alien with, in regards to the explanations or justifications for why it exists or where it comes from, because that's going to play a huge part into how you design it. For example, the aliens from Avatar, the movie Avatar, are supposed to feel like they're animals on another planet, like they are on a planet that's somewhat similar to ours and that are something that could be relatable. So they tend to start the course as the ultimate guide to creature design. So they're supposed to look believable, and so for a lot of them, they use sort of like a pre-existing anatomical base, so to speak. So like for the Thanator, which is like the thing that opens up its mouth, that is like the big carnivore thing on the island. That one has the base of a basic quadruped, and they've added, I mean, they got like the rib cage and the hips, right, and then the head, and then they got the shoulder blades, and then they've just added a second set of arms onto the rib cage, right, basically like that. So it has two. However, there's also aliens that are like super alien, super foreign, like weird things that are like, they don't even have a face, and their limbs all bend like backwards, and they have, like weird stuff that doesn't even look anything like what we have on Earth, sort of thing, like, like weird stuff like this sort of thing, right? In which case the rules of anatomy kind of, you kind of make it up almost. Like, I mean, you are making it up, but like you're using the justification of like, well, this is a different world, so it doesn't need to draw a reference or um, anything from something we know about, right? And then the last one are kind of like the aliens from the movie Alien by Geiger. They're super. Well, one of the reasons why they're such good designs and why they seem so creepy is because they look a lot like humans. They have a lot of human elements to them that have just been distorted, which makes it feel really eerie and creepy. And you don't really get an explanation in that movie. I think in the later movies they start to explain why, but in that movie you don't really have an explanation. You're just designing with the intent of, I don't have to explain why it looks like this. I'm just trying to make it seem creepy. In which case you can do whatever you want. So it's like super hard. If you're trying to make it look believable, as in like that could be a real animal, like I could see that being alive, I would go with the Avatar approach. And just think, I mean, there's not a short answer. You just gotta have to study a lot of anatomy and look at how things work. And it probably won't be realistic most of the time to add extra limbs because the frame can't maybe support it, but you can basically simulate the look of being realistic, even if in physical world it wouldn't function. Like getting a dragon wing, for example. Look at things like bats that have wings that are similar to what you want to draw, and then think about how other limbs on that body are attached and sort of incorporate that anatomy. So, I mean, it's essentially a second arm. There'd probably be a shoulder blade on the back side as well as another shoulder blade here for the main forearm limb, if they're going to have any. I don't know. That's a good question, and unfortunately, there's not really like a short, simple answer. It's not. That's like a whole course topic in itself, or like a whole lecture. So, yeah, check out. I would say if you really want an in-depth answer, check out my course. Even that, I don't know if I specifically cover like how to add extra limbs, but it'll give you a much better understanding of anatomy and what you should be thinking about when you're designing a creature. And it covers a bunch of other fun stuff too, like paint like patterns and coloration and thinking about like design aspects and stuff like that. So, and for the whole month of January, all my courses are $9.99. $9.99. That's so cheap. I know. There's almost no reason you shouldn't buy one. How much time we got? 15 minutes?
Yeah, we're at 15 minutes. And Hermonia Baker is asking, after I finish your course, would you be annoyed if I sent you the final portfolio?
I'd be pretty pissed, actually. Just kidding. No, that's fine. I typically cater the amount of feedback I give and the quality of that feedback based off of how like serious the person seems to be about improving and working. Like if they're just kind of like a hobbyist, I'm like, all right, well, it looks good, maybe work on this. But if someone's like, hey, I really, really, I want to do this for a living and I'm really trying to improve, I want some serious feedback. What can I improve? I'll spend a lot more time. So if you want to send me your portfolio after you're finished with the course, um, go for it. And I'll give you some feedback on it.
So I just mentioned that your courses are really great and that I'm taking some of your courses right now. And then Sharice Emmett was asking me what my favorite course is, and I'd say, well, I'm going through the digital painting mega course, but obviously that's a really big course with a lot of content, and so I'm going through that kind of slowly but surely, just going through that content. But I jumped over to the dragon bust that you painted,
Oh yeah, the little mini
and actually
tutorial.
learned a ton, because I've been doing digital painting for a year or so, but I was able to learn a few tricks that I think will just really bump up the quality of my work, and also just add new effects and a new look that I think will be really valuable.
And that course that he's talking about is totally free for anybody. So you can it's like 2 hours long. It's like a demo, just beginning to end of me painting. But just to give you an idea of what courses are like, like what you'll get if you buy one. But yeah, that one's totally free. So you can go check that one out on Udemy right now. Then you can go tell all your friends, oh my gosh, I took the best course ever. It's totally free. Well, we got some time, but not quite enough to start the next one. So let's do some tone to paper magic.
So I'm just sharing the course that I was talking about with digital, or the dragon bust, so you can go and check that out. And again, he said it's free, you know, so it's a really awesome way to test things out and see if these courses are going to be helpful to you, which they are. Did you approve the link?
Oh, whoops, yeah. Any more questions we have?
Which state do you prefer to live in, Utah or Arizona? What's different about them? Never been to either.
Actually, I think I want to answer Comical Food's other question first, and I'll get
Oh.
that one.
I didn't catch that. Sorry about that.
Do you have any creature art books? Yeah, I do. I love creature art books. All of Terrell Whitlatch's books are awesome. Let's see. Let me see if I can see them from here. Creatures Real and Imagined. On my shelf. That one is freaking awesome. Her Star Wars book. I'm trying to see where they are up there. Those ones are all super awesome. I don't know. I don't see them. I know they're up there, but
how do you spell
it? Creatures Real and Imagined. Just
no, the author. Sorry.
Oh, Terrell Whitlatch, Terryl, and then Whitlatch. Yeah, that stuff is really good. There's one of them, the Star Wars one.
Oh, okay.
Right there. Yeah, those are my favorite by far. There's some other good ones, but I'd say those are definitely top, very tippy top. So yeah, which state do I prefer? I don't know. I prefer Utah because those are all my friends and family are now. Arizona is. I don't really like the snow, so I like that about Arizona. I'm not super keen on that part of it, but yeah, I don't know. I like the snow, or I like the wild, like the forestry here and stuff like that. And there's a lot of good places to go off-roading with my Jeep. Arizona has good places too, but the plants there, man, are so pokey. I went down there for a trip a little while ago, and I got some nice, they call it Arizona pinstriping, which is when you go off-roading and all the plants and cactuses and bushes just leave scratches all up and down your car. So that was pretty awesome. That happened to me. I had to get them all buffed out. So I don't know. I like Utah better. It gets pretty hot here too, and pretty cold. But overall, I think I like the weather here better than Arizona weather.
So Comical Foods is asking, do you have any of your own creature art books?
I don't. I keep every year. I'm like, I should make one, and then honestly, what keeps happening is I'm like, I should make one. And then I feel like my art gets a lot better. And I'm like, all this old stuff is not good enough to put into a book because it's just not good enough. It's not as good as I can draw now. So I need to make more stuff that's better. And then I make more stuff that's better. And then I'm like, now maybe I should put these into a book. And then by the time every time I just feel like I improve. And then I don't feel like the current work I have is good enough to justify making into a book. I don't have enough like high quality work. I don't know. If there's a demand, I might do it. Is there a demand? You guys saying you want me to make a creature art book? Would you buy it? I mean, I kind of also think I'm not sure I have enough of a following yet to that there would be able to be enough people to actually buy it. Honestly.
Twilight Wolf says yes! Exclamation point. Comical Food says there's a lot of people who love process work though, and I think your art is already great. Twilight Wolf saying, "Oh my gosh, that would be awesome." Sharia Summit says yes.
Well, maybe I should look into that this year then. Yeah, not too bad. It looks a little bit stylized, but it's okay. It's pretty good. Good enough. Good enough for me. I want to pick that gray I had earlier.
Comical Foods asks, Kickstarter?
Yeah, I don't think I would have enough interest to warrant a Kickstarter yet. I mean, I would need like at least 100 people who wanted to buy it. So I don't know. We'll see. Usually you can expect about 2 to 5% of your audience to purchase or like actually buy something. So I have almost 30,000 subscribers. Oh, maybe that would be enough. If I have 30,000 subscribers and we go on like the low end of 2% of 30,000, that would be, let's see, that would be like 600 people. Well, maybe. I don't know. I'll see. It's a possibility. Say that. And what was I going to add? I was about to add something. I can't remember what it was. No.
Add something to your drawing or add something
Yeah,
as a comment?
Add something to my drawing. I don't know.
Comical Foods is suggesting that you mix it with a story, referring to your art book.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Wouldn't really make it an art. If I want to do that more than an art book, but I would really like make it a story, not just an art book then, and like do art for the book. All right, we're gonna call it for today. I don't know why I did it so small. I didn't quite nail the perspective, I don't think. Mine doesn't look like he's looking up as much as the other one does. I mean, maybe we can fix that really quick. Let me find out. Or maybe I'm going to ruin everything. Probably that one, but let's see. Oh, wait, we need to go down here. That definitely makes it look like he's looking up more, but it leaves that weird sort of line. It's hard to get rid of. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it how it was. Next time we'll get it better. Good enough, though. It served its purpose. We learned some things. I should make a theme song at the end. All right. Yeah, we're going to call it before I draw forever. I'm still doing it. I'm still drawing. Stop. Okay. Done. Pencil down.
I'm going to hold you back, man.
All right. Well, that was fun. Just a reminder, I will see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m., but on Saturday, we'll be doing it later in the day. And I just picked up my pencil again. But yeah, I'll be sure to post in the group. We're still going to do it. So anyways.
Before you go, there's a question.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think you could look at my stuff in the digital motivation group?
What's your name in there? The best way to get feedback is to post it in the Q&A on Udemy. If you want like instructor feedback from me or Caleb, he's my TA. Oh yeah, Colleen, yeah, I've seen your stuff. I mean, yeah, I can look at it. But I mean, the more specific you are, the like what exactly is it that you're wanting. So, yeah, I'd put in the Q&A and tag me in the group and give me some specific things that you're wanting to get some feedback on. So anyways, that's it for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.